All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Spokane Camera Club members as well as non-members. This is Dennis Isip, your host for tonight. This is a live recording, but by the time that you see this, you will see just the recording. So today we are doing judging, digital judging for April. And in the spirit of social distancing, we're not having a face-to-face meeting, and that's the reason why we're doing this online. I'm actually at home. Excuse me. I'm at home at the moment, and our judge, our esteemed judge, is D. Cloyd, and he is over at his office 5 miles from here. So we're gonna do this digital judging, and you know, Deke has been a great mentor of mine in terms of photography, videography, as well as certain portions of life as well. So he's been a great friend, and certainly have enjoyed his company and all the advice that he has given me all these years. And I've grown a lot because of what he has been in my life. So without further ado, Deke, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So tonight we've got 60 images. We've got a lot of entries. So we'll start as usual with digital general color. So, but before we do that, is there anything that you want to say, Deke?
No, I guess I was supposed to do my social distancing from people, but I can't. I guess I'm now okay to drive to work. I kind of sneak through the gate and open this up. So this is kind of cool. It's new for me. I did one for IOPC the other day, and it came out pretty good. Of course, I had no idea we were going to be doing 60 of these, so this is this is going to be quite the chore. But bear with us, and we'll get it done.
All right. So, having said that, let's get on with our show.
We open the first one.
Go ahead and open the first one.
There we go.
And okay, so our first entry for tonight is American white pelicans.
I love this. It has a wonderful feel to it. It is tack sharp, as you can see. The exposure is spot on. We don't have any loss of details in the blacks or the whites. It keeps my eye in the scene. Nothing here takes my eye out. It actually shows the interaction of these two pelicans, and it actually has a human aspect to it. You can see that, I mean, when I look at this, I almost think of Archie Bunker and his wife, you know, and how they interacted with each other. Kind of made me laugh. Love the color palette here, which is very simplified, but going from the browns in the water and the white and the black and the oranges, I think works very well. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge hammerman about catch light in the eyes. And by the way, the cool thing about doing this digitally is I'm able to, watch this, put my cursor around here and say catch light in the eyes. See that? And if you look really close, you can see it in all three of the eyes that are shown. So very, very nice. I love this. As many of you have heard me say many times, I really like an image if I say I'd love to see this printed on metal, huge against the wall. Beautiful image. Have no idea where it was taken or who took it, but it's something I would be very proud of. I think it's done very well. Composition on this, I gave a 5. Impact, I gave a 4. Very close to a 5, by the way. Technically, it is absolutely sound. I also gave that a 5 as well.
Okay, American White Pelicans by Beverly Harden, 14 points. And I'm going to clap on behalf of the audience.
Very good. That's right.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, next one is Blue Eyes.
Very attention-getting. This is, I would say, my first comment was, it's a nice abstract image. The exposure seems off. I looked at it very closely, and it just seems to be slightly overexposed. And I'm not 100% sure if it's had a color shift. The blues look okay, but the rest of it off of the what's typically called an eye in a peacock feather seems a little off and potentially overexposed. It has a flat feel to it. My suggestions were maybe change the lighting if possible to more of a directional or at the side, not as evenly lit, and I think that would improve upon it heavily. Composition is a 3, impact is a 3, technical is also a 3.
We got Blue Eyes by Victoria Tarudaki, 9 points. Okay, our next entry is Cub on Log.
This is very sharp. It is nicely exposed. The subject is centered, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, just a fact. It's good catch light in the eyes, as you guys know. I always look for that anytime we've got anything with eyes in it, anything living. The branches on the right, both this one, and potentially just a little bit of right here, they do take my eyes out of the scene. I would like to see a more unique title, Cub on Log. That's like rock number 1. Sorry, I know a lot of people know, good God, what's that guy with his titles? Well, I've seen a lot of things, and I know what can grab people's attention and what can't. I'd love to see this have a little more creative title. By the way, I think it's very cool that you caught that cub has got these leaves in between his claws there. That's way cool. I scored this composition 3, impact 3, technical 4.
Cub on the Log by Maxie Adams, 10 points. Rent for Cheap.
Mine says for rent cheap. Is that accurate?
Oh, I'm sorry. For Rent Cheap.
I actually really like that title. It makes me laugh, as it just did Dennis there from the football, but that's okay. Very, very sharp. It's a wonderful depth of field. Seeing it go from just super, super sharp to things that are a little closer, this branch, and things that are way far away, the tree in the background. I think the depth of field is spot on. I would like to see the tree in the background gone. I know that, I mean, could you step to the side and still have the correct angle of the birdhouse? And I mean, just think how much more impactful this would be with that tree either away from the backside of it or completely gone. I think it would, number one, it would simplify it a little bit and bring more directional to the subject. It's a good color pattern, considering the fact that we do have the tree in there, going from the blues to the greens to the oranges and natural colors worked out very, very well. But I'm going to say it again. I really like the title. That was very clever. Composition 3, impact 4, technical 4.
For Rent Cheap by Judy Nesson, 11 points. Little Cutie.
And I think that's accurate. Who can look at this and not say, how cute? Very, very sharp, wonderful exposure. I don't see how the exposure could be any better at all. Again, nice catch light in the eye, excuse me. There is a slight, I don't know if you guys can see this, there is a slight issue with artifacts. See this? See this? And they're mainly vertical. There are artifacts in the background. Now, I don't know if that was from post-production and something you did to blur the background more, or if that's actually the way it is and it came across your sensor that way and caused these vertical lines. I can see them, and they're not perfectly vertical. See, these are slightly angled. I did not mark down for that, but I want you to recognize that I see them and that they are there. I would take a look at that and find out, is that something, if I was the photographer, is that something I did, or is that something that, you know, naturally occurred? I would definitely take a look at that. Well, this thing is as sharp gets. You can see every whisker just plain as day, even this little kind of cowlick, I guess you'd call it, on this little mouse right there. Very, very cool. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical, and I'm not counting off for the artifacts because I don't know 100% of where that came from. I went ahead and gave that a 5.
Little Cutie by Steve Shining, 13 points.
Woohoo!
Yeah. All right. You there, Deke? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So our next entry is Retired.
Good title. I think that was very clever. I call this a good documentary image. And as you'll notice throughout this, this session, you'll hear me say that of being a commercial photographer, I have sold a lot of what the stock agencies tell me is a documentary image. So that's where I learned it. It's very sharp. Unfortunately, no fault of the photographer, it has very flat light. You can clearly tell that by seeing the very subdued shadows underneath this engine here. For whatever reason, I looked at this very close all over. It seems to have a very overall orange cast or orange color hue. I would like to see a slightly different composition. It's just centered and there it is. I'd like to see some different angles of this. It would be really cool to come back here during a well-lit day at golden hour, either in the morning of an evening, and seeing some very angled shadows and more dramatic light on it. And my suggestion would be, take a look at your camera. I'm guessing it's that. This color setting is off, or you changed it to this. This has got too much of an orange cast on it, in my opinion. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
Retired by Don Burnell, 12 points.
Next.
Okay. Next is Seattle Skyline.
The first thing I'm going to say is this is a very obvious HDR image. It's got a very dramatic feel. It is somewhat confusing. As much as it's pleasing to the eye when you first pull it up and go, oh, wow, look at the Space Needle. Look at the clouds. Look at the lights. This is just wonderful. It does take your eye and bounce it around that scene all over the place. Obviously, they want the center of attention to be the Space Needle, but then it moves your eye around all over the place. So I'm going to call that somewhat confusing. To its attribute here, to the good side, the positive side, this would make an excellent jigsaw puzzle. And as funny as that sounds, wouldn't it though? Wouldn't this be very difficult to put together as a jigsaw puzzle? Absolutely. It would also look extremely good on a metal. I like it. I'm kind of funny when it comes to HDR images. I probably love HDR images the most when I can't instantly tell that they're HDR. And unfortunately, this one I can immediately tell it's an HDR. Not necessarily a negative thing, but I just have learned, when HDR came about, everybody and their brother did HDR. This one is extremely obvious that it is. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical is a 5.
Seattle Skyline by Steve Whitaker, 13 points.
Yay!
Yay.
Way to go, Steve. Next.
Okay, next is Skyward.
Okay. What a unique image. It's very emotional for me. In my opinion, it is slightly too tight. Not up here, and you can probably barely see my cursor there. Down here at her feet, I want to see, not a lot, just a little. And part of that is because you're seeing the shadow in the water underneath her feet. I want to see that, another, I don't know, half an inch, something like that. I think it would add to this. Other than that, I really like it. The horizon line is level. Let me see what I wrote here. We'd like to see more room at the bottom. And let's see how many people agree with me. How cool to have what is probably two pelicans coming straight towards the camera, and then one saying he's bailing off to what would be his left, our right. I got to be honest. I think this image would be stronger without this pelican in the scene. I would have removed this pelican. It just, honestly, it's cool. It's different. Wow, I captured that as he was turning away, but it doesn't strengthen this image as a photograph. I would remove it. It just doesn't fit with the others in the scene. Other than that, I find this very emotional. I'm not concerned about, I'm assuming this is a little girl. I'm not concerned about her not being tack sharp because it shows motion. And this is telling you that there's water coming in, this is moving, you can almost hear the waves coming in, and it's okay for her not to be tack sharp. In fact, I think I like it a little better that she's not. The birds are, so I'm okay with that. Composition is a 4, impact is a 3, technical is a 4.
Skyward by Lynn Nordhagen, 11 points.
Next.
Snowy Owl at Sunset.
This is a very unique owl image. I love the color hue of the background. The out of focus piece in the lower left, right here, is distracting. And obviously I would want that somehow, maybe get up on your tippy toes so that you can get over and above that. I wouldn't recommend cropping above that because I like seeing all this. And if you crop above that, you don't have the feel of what this is. It anchors the image, no question there. One thing about it, it took me a minute to see that this owl was actually looking this direction. I got confused about how the head was, and you know owls, they can turn their heads almost all the way around. So it takes a minute to realize that this owl is looking to our left. Again, I love this color hue going from the pinks to the violets to the pinks again. Very unusual. It's very rare. I've never seen an owl sitting on pieces of metal like this. I think it's very, very cool. Composition is a 4. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 4.
Snowy Owl at Sunset by Courtney Litwin, 12 points.
Next.
Next is Summer Joy.
Here we go again with that word again. This is a nice documentary image. This would sell as stock very well. If you look on iStock or Tony Stone or Image Bank or any of those, you'll see a ton of images like this. This would be a really nice competitor to those and probably sell very well. It's nice and sharp. It's exposed, very nice. Good leading lines into the main subject lines. Very cool that we've got this color aberration in here that naturally came into the image. And I zoomed in real close to that. That's actually in the image. It's not a fault of the camera or the sensor at all. Very nice. The horizon line is level and straight. Yes, this part is coming more towards you, so that does have a natural curve to it. But I think that's as level as you can get. Like the title, very cute. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
Summer Joy by Lori Pence, 12 points.
Next.
Next is Sunset Road.
Love this. Who on earth, when I clicked this, did not go, oh, wow. It's just very emotional image. The grittiness, especially of the road down here, and the color palette in the sky, and the trees, which are not underexposed. By the way, this is probably an HDR image, but notice I said probably. That means that I didn't look at it and immediately say, oh, that's an HDR. So I think it's done, I'm assuming at this point it is an HDR, but it's done very, very well. Has a wonderful feel to it. It's very sharp. It takes the viewer's eye exactly where it needs to go. Okay, let's talk about something for 1 second. It's very obvious that this was taken with a wide angle lens. Why do we know that? This tree is leaning in, so are these. These trees are leaning in. So that not absolutely 100% factual, but it's more than likely that this is a wide angle image. Now there is one issue. See this horizon line? Definitely going up on the right, goes from down to up. Not a huge amount, but enough to notice it. What would you do in that case? If you just simply changed the, clicked it over, in other words, you went clockwise with it, a click or two to make this horizon line level, guess what that's going to do to the trees? It's going to make them more exaggerated, and it would look less appealing than it does right now. So the way to fix this, if this was for a serious competition, is to put it into Photoshop and go into the, go in and change the perspective, whether that be in skew or warp, etc. And you'd be able to, number one, straighten out the trees. Number two, level the horizon line. Don't get me wrong, love the image. I'm just being extremely, extremely picky that if you wanted to fix all that, you could do it real, real easy. Love this image. Composition is a 5. Impact is a 4, very close to a 5. Technical is a 5.
Sunset Road by Dennis Smith, 14 points.
Woo-hoo! Next.
Next is What Do You Think?
The first thing I want to say is, when I read that title, I kind of went into the New Jersey accent. What do you think? Kind of like that. And because it has the U capitalized, that's kind of why I did that. I have no idea if the maker wanted that to come across that way or not, but that's how I did it. And it made sense for this person, which is a statue, to be saying that to this person. What do you think? So I put the emphasis on you because they had it capitalized. Very clever. I like the title that way. The background works very well with the colors, and it fits perfectly. The greens to the blues to the metal feel of it. Bear in mind, this is sharp. This is not. So that tells me that they probably used a very large aperture. I would say a smaller aperture would have helped with this, because when you're having your title, what do you think? And it's coming from this person, most likely. Why do we have the subject that's saying the title out of focus and the subject that's receiving the comment in focus? I would change that. Slight overexposure on the chest down here. Other than that, very clever image. Composition is a 4. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 3.
Oh, What Do You Think? By Gene Alleman, 11 points.
Next.
Next is Who Might You Be?
Very cute. I love the composition. I don't see how it could be any better than that. It looks innocent and playful. Ooh, that might be a mistake to mistrust that. There's no distracting elements in there. I would suggest on my monitors, and I looked at it on 3 different monitors, 1 PC and 2 Macs, that the color seems slightly off. I could be wrong, but I've seen a lot of bear and I've seen a lot of wildlife stuff. I've seen a lot of this kelp on the rocks type of thing. I would suggest to try a small amount of red, or in most cases magenta, to this image, warming it up a little, and I think the overall feel would be more accurate and give it a not as much of a cold feel to it. And considering the fact that it's very cute, innocent, playful, I think warming it up would actually help it, especially with the title. And I kind of like that. I think the maker was from the same New Jersey place that the other one was. Who might you be? Kind of thing. Haha, that's funny. Composition is a 5. I don't see how it could be any better than that. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 4.
Who Might You Be by Maxie Adams, 13 points.
Next.
Wild Lily.
This is a very unique angle represented in this lily. If this was with a series of images with this flower, I would understand it way more than now. It would be nice to include that, saying, and here it is, that's backlit, which is what it is. It would be more impactful if the light were at least partially showing the front of the image. It's unique because you don't see flowers most of the time being backlit like that, and the light coming across, in places where you can definitely tell it's definitely backlit. But I think that it would have been much more impactful if we'd have had maybe a reflector showing some light buzzing into the little stamens coming out of this flower, or slightly and gently turning this flower so that you could get some wonderful light on it. I just think it would have been more impactful if it was not backlit. It's unique. I like the fact that we can see through the flower petals. That's very cool. But as a flower itself, it needs more light on it. To the maker's credit, I really like the fact of the vignetting. It's slight, but it's noticeable. Considering the fact that it is backlit, I think that even helped it more. Love the background. The bokeh is just wonderful. It's nice and tack sharp. I just like to see more light on it. Composition is a 3. Impact is a 3. Technical is a 4.
Wild Lily by Barbara Murray, 10 points.
Next.
Next is Winter Getaway.
This is a nice, once again, documentary image. The browns work well with the blues. The exposure is nice because a lot of times when people start out, they make their snow blue. This snow is white. The only thing I can see that is just screaming at me is, you can see my cursor, see over here? To me, it is screaming to see more over here. The whole image is nice, it's pleasant, it's like, wow, but I just want to see more. The way it's positioned, I want to see more of what's over to the left. I think that would, and maybe there was something there that you wanted to chop off, etc. I don't know, but I think it would have helped this image. Love the blue sky, nice and tack sharp. Love the I don't know if you can see my cursor, the light on the, the sun shining against the tops of this mountain peak. I just want to see more to the left. Composition is a 3. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 4.
Winter Getaway by Donna Larson, 11 points. Next is Wood Storks.
And I don't know if I've ever seen wood storks before, so this might be a first for me. I really like it. The lighting is wonderful, and it's kind of unique. It's tack sharp. The exposure is spot on because we don't have any overexposures on the whites that doesn't show at least a little bit of the details. And even the underside of the wings, if you zoom in, you've still got it. So shooting an image with them flying across the air, which was probably pretty quick, and being able to expose them like that, I think was an excellent job. So I did put exposure is spot on. It does appear to have been darkened on the left side and more up here, but it appears as though, I could be wrong, that the maker did a little darkening in this area. And maybe that's good because that gives it a little push as these storks are going to the right here. I'm not saying that darkening is a bad thing at all. Wonderful catch light in all of the eyes, as you can see. And what an unusual beak this thing has. Isn't that crazy? Have you guys ever seen these before? Look at how their feet are straight out. Boy, hold your feet straight out so you go through the air just nice and smooth. I'm sure that's what they're saying. Can't you see them squawking at each other? Nice image. Composition 4, impact 4, technical 5.
Wood Storks by Tony Horpel, 13 points.
Woohoo!
Good job, Tony.
I'm assuming that must be in Costa Rica.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so our last entry in Digital General is yes, it is.
Now, the first thing I'm going to say is, if I didn't hear the title and pulled it up and then heard the title, I'd say, yes, it is. Does he mean busy? Because it's very busy. Does he or she mean confusing? Yes, it is. It is sharp where it needs to be sharp, not overly sharp, but it is sharp. It moves the eye all around this image. I don't know what the main subject is. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? I have no idea. It's just taking my eye all over the place, not necessarily keeping my eye in the scene. This takes me out. This takes me out. This down here takes me out. This over here takes me out. It is basically somewhat confusing. Just want you to know that. For an abstract of what this is, possibly in a junkyard, very cool. But I want to have a main subject somewhere in there to take my eye and anchor it at least for a moment. And I don't get that with this. Composition is a 2. Impact is a 3. Technical is a 4.
Yes, it is by Will Murray, 9 points.